It's a very good evening. We want to thank you so much, first of all, for watching Church of Uganda Family TV from January up to now. It's been a pleasure having you watching Transformed Lives program every single Sunday at 6 p.m. And even today, we are here. Yes, Edwin Austin Mkalas is my name, and this show is brought to you in partnership with Full Gospel Business Men's Fellowship International. And we want to take a moment of silence to mourn the death of the international president of the Full Gospel Business Men's Fellowship. May his soul rest in eternal peace. But moving forward on Transformed Lives program, here we are. This program comes to you to inspire you, to motivate you, to encourage you, to give you a reason to live again, to smile again, to walk again. So don't give up. That is a summary of this program. And today we have an exciting person. You must have watched him. You've watched him give a lot of addressing a lot of press conferences, but you might have not known his other story that we have brought today. The person we have today had a dream of being a priest. Now we don't know whether he was just banished or things didn't turn out as he wanted, and then he didn't give up. He now said, I'll be a lawyer. He ended up a teacher. And as we follow through as a teacher, we now see him in the prison service. So the person we have today is the commissioner of prisons in charge of corporate affairs, but he also doubles as the prison service spokesperson, Uganda Prison Service spokesperson. Join me as we welcome Mr. Frank Baine on to TLP today. Mr. Baine, we are delighted to have you today and hear from you, hear your story that we didn't know, and people out there always expect who we bring.
Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Audrey. Thank you so much for this program. I am glad to be here to take through the good viewers of Family TV the journey I've walked. When I was writing a book, I called it The River of My Life. My life has been like a river,
flowing,
going all through the stages of the normal human growth process. And now I'm getting to the evening of my time, and I think, I think I am a satisfied man.
We should get to know why you're getting to the evening, yes, and why you're
for beginners. I was born on 14th December 1965. My father, my late father, was known as Francis Xavier Kasimbazi, and my mother known as Angela Tbawahunusi. And from the then was in Barara, now it is Isinjiro district. And I had a normal childhood. My father was a forest officer, my mother was a teacher, so we're in an average family.
Yes.
We are born three, two girls and I, me in the middle. And we generally lived that small life, some few cows, banana plantations. And I basically did all the mistakes children do. And excited me. So of course, at our time, things were a bit hard. Going to school would mean you walk about 5 kilometers. Going on and coming back another 5
so
kilometers.
Those are 10 kilometers daily.
Those are 10 kilometers daily. But that was the order of the day. There were no borders. There were not even cars were counted at the time. It is only the priests who had cars. So the school I went to is called Kakoma Primary School, but I started in the church school, where we were under the mango tree. That's where I was studying from. Then I finished P7. 1981 I joined Senior 1 and I went to Isinjiro Secondary School. By then it was known as Isinjiro Public secondary school. It was a 10th world school.
Mm.
It wasn't a first world school at the time.
10th world, not even third,
No,
fourth,
it
or
was
fifth.
10th world at the time.
So what makes you think it was a 10th world?
Because of the conditions there, everything wasn't there. Maybe apart from, because even they grabbed the buildings from the primary school.
Okay.
Some we had some small shelters where we would go. So it was a 10th world at the time. But where you get knowledge doesn't matter sometimes, as long as you use that knowledge for your betterment.
Sure.
Of course, I was quite not a young man, because in senior 2 they suspended me for teasing. By then teasing was common. And I was paying back because I was teased badly when I joined senior 1. But I needed to pay back. So, but they suspended us, gave us those, of course, called us, gave us punishments. We brought parents, they gave us some chiboko, dug some anthills, and life went on.
After the suspension?
After the suspension. Actually, at that's when I got a bit of a challenge, because when I was in I was around P7, then there were some family issues, and my mother left. Now, when my mother left, then it means now my father had to marry again, and then that's when challenges of the home started coming up. Senior 2, my father said, "I'm not giving you any money. You better leave school and stay here and look after these cows, because I don't see the meaning of your going to school," even if he was an educated man. And I also became rebellious.
Why? Was it because when you go to school...
Of course, you know the problem of polygamy.
Mm.
Your stepmother would think that if you studied, then you would come and dominate. So the best way is to influence how you have bad manners, how you are irresponsible, it would be part of the gratification for the stepmothers to see their stepchildren not going to school, because they would be preparing, thinking theirs would actually be the ones to come and go to school and take the lead in the family affairs. That's when I also made a decision. I said, well, I think I need my future. Then parted ways with my father. Then started looking for, after myself now. I first went to my uncle. I didn't see anything coming up. Then I decided to go to my grandparents of my mother's side, because she was also there at home, for the purpose of seeing how to continue in school, because my concern was, how do I continue in school? Yeah, and true, as a young man, I had wanted to become a priest. And everything.
Where
was
were you
of course
getting this
the motivation, of course, for being a priest as a young man, very, very young child, I think, was because the priests were the most smart at the time. It wasn't because I wanted to go to heaven, no. The priests were smart. They were the ones driving cars, Renault cars, Porsche cars. And I thought that was something to fight for. And besides, every time we went to church and there was a priest, we would all sit there down the other side, including my father. And the priest would be up. And it was so peculiar that the priest would talk, everybody would keep quiet, including my father, up to the end. And I was like, who is this powerful person that is greater than my father? So I thought I needed to get time when I am also there and I talk and my father listens to me. Otherwise, without him trying to prove to me that he was my father, and therefore, as a son, I was supposed only to do the listening and not questioning. So, but of course, now when the family issues came in, that's what shattered my dream. Because at the time, the Catholic Church was very strict. That if you are, my mother was the officially married wife. As soon as she went out of the home, then I was not qualifying to become a priest. So then that's when I said, I think since I can't become a priest now, let me find another way and become a lawyer. Now when I was dreaming to become a lawyer, now my father says, you stop school. Then I said, no, I can't stop school. So I decided I joined my mother, then my grandfather's place.
Why did you choose to be a lawyer then?
I think I was looking for something called authority. The few things I would see or hear, the people who had authority were either priests or lawyers.
Oh.
Because there was a certain magistrate called Kawazire. We happened to go there. There was a case my father was involved in, and I was a young man. And my friend, the man was so powerful. Then I said, oh, you mean from the church? This. Then I said, this one studied what? This one studied law. That's how some of us were figuring. There wasn't deliberate career guidance. No, it's a question of looking at something and say, I think this will give me the power. I think the craze I had in my head was, how do I get the power and authority to command so that I talk, others listen, to be felt, my presence to be felt. Even if I was a short, stout young man, I thought I need to compensate that with having authority. So, but of course, when I started now working for my education, and of course, because now the family had disintegrated, of course, even my elder sister had left earlier than me, my young sister, now we all now moved separate ways. We left Mzee with his things and his life, so we started a new life. Now, that meant that I had now to look for school fees for myself, school fees for my sisters, and even the upkeep. My mother was a very hard-working woman, but she needed support. So sometimes I amuse people that at the age of 16, I was already a father, I was already a husband, hustling for the survival of this small family that we had created. Fortunately, I would go to school late, but I explained to the headmaster and he understood my plight. And I dragged on until I did Senior 4, 1984. So when I did my Senior 4, 1984, surprisingly, I came out, I was the best student in that 10th world school, yet I had those challenges.
So which jobs were you taking on?
No, the jobs I was doing. I was laying bricks, I was digging in people's farms, I was burning charcoal, I was brewing waragi, anything that involved some money. Apart from stealing, I didn't have the capacity to steal. These pancakes, brewing kwete, all those things, as long as I had space and time, I would be doing something. Incidentally, that developed me into a very bad workaholic up to today. Sometimes I sympathize with my family. My levels of thinking about work sometimes are beyond. I feel it, but I can't stop it.
You're already addicted.
Because at the time I need school fees for me. Then sometimes by the time the school time is beginning, we are unable to send my two sisters to school. Then that means me I have to remain behind to work harder in 1 or 2 weeks to have got at least half of the school fees for me. With them they would go with the full, me I would go with half. Then I reach school, I explain to the school. If they don't understand, I fall sick and come back. But even if I didn't need to fall sick, they would chase me for not having paid school fees. Then I use that time to come and do my charcoal. Charcoal used to be my quick fix, because you just get, if you get like 10 bags and sell them, then you are good to go. And it takes about 1.5 weeks to have those. Then you go back. But of course you have missed some few things. One thing that I learned in the whole process, when you're determined and you don't give up, you always get what you want. Sometimes we give excuses. Now, my parents don't have money. Me, where do I get the time? What do I get the job? What type of job are you looking for? There are many jobs which can give money without necessarily for you putting on a necktie and a coat. And me, those are not the ones I was looking for. Actually, even in my adult life, I find it very hard to put on a shirt and a necktie and a coat, because I feel those present me as a lazy man. That's not my world. That's not my world, and that's why I enjoy my uniform. When I'm in uniform, I'm in that combative mood. That it means work. Work. So, of course, when I finished Senior 4, because there were a number of things at stake, I was still at my grandfather's place with my sisters and my mother. Then I didn't even wait for the results to come. I said, whatever comes, I had done my part and finished. So that's when we struggled, got a small plot of land of about a quarter acre. That was 1985, beginning 85. Then we put there a small structure. Small structure meaning mud and water. Roofed with banana fibers. Forget about your mapati. Then we entered our house. Yeah, it was a house.
With your sisters and the mother.
And life became much better, because now we are in our home. You know when you have somebody's home, you have to follow certain orders. But now we are in our home, and that's how we built on that. Fortunately, as we progressed, then my elder sister went for education, so that one there he met the man he wanted, then got married. So I had spent an extra 3 years after senior 4 trying to settle a home.
Even when you married the best student?
Yes, I had my things kept by my mother. Me, I told them I'm not going to school until I have established myself. Then when I finish, I go. Actually, everybody thought I was now getting married.
Because we are carrying a lot of responsibility.
Because I still had the other background. Then that's how I ended up going to St. Joseph's Vocational School in Nyamtanga, still with the hope of becoming a priest. Yes.
Now the hope has come back.
It came back. But when I reached there, the dynamics were complicated. They said, you cannot. You better continue with your other dreams. So I said, okay.
This time, what was the reason they were giving?
Of course, my mother hadn't come back. We were not in a complete family, Catholic family. So there is no way you could qualify to be a priest, because that priesthood is built on the pillar that you must be in an upright Catholic family. That is the principle. If it is not, forget. So at the time, still we are not yet reunited with the Mzee, and we are still now beginning to struggle on our own. So it was not possible. So I went to St. Joseph's. I did of course, the 3 years I spent in the village largely affected my performance at HSC. And remember, I would be breaking off in the middle to go and get the top-up school fees. I remember one time things became tight. I negotiated with the priest. Then we agreed that during the holidays he gives me where to slash in the compound is there. Then he gives me the school fees, which he agreed, and that one worked out. Actually, I think that was the easiest way of getting
school
fees by slashing. But of course, remember, you are a young man, and your friends are going home. They are seeing you. You have now moved from a student to a porter. Yeah, there is a way it psychologically affects you. But me, I didn't mind. It was like, yes, let me do this. But what happens? You don't know what it means to be carrying on a bicycle. You are carrying 2 bags of charcoal, and you meet a girl in the next school who you are in the seminar together yesterday. How does it feel? It feels very, very funny. Sometimes we'd put on these big koffias to hide the face so that you can disguise. But those are things you go through. So finally, after senior 6, but we had in one university, remember, you either went to Makerere, or you go to these other institutions. So, but I had been careful that now that I'm applying, in case I didn't go to Makerere, I should go to an NTC. Why? Because in my background is that I needed to get a degree at all costs. In order to liberate myself from all these challenges of the world, I need a degree in my hand.
At this level, had you now dropped the other mindset of having authority? And
yeah, the authority was still there. That's why when I was in HSC, I still thought I would be a lawyer. But even in the background, when I said, now, if I don't go to the university, then I become a teacher. You know how also authoritative teachers can be. So it was still running in blood. But I don't think I was carefully thinking about it. But the choices I was making were clearly telling me that I was hunting for authority. Even unconsciously. Yeah, just like that. So, of course, I missed the university, but I qualified for the colleges. And because I wanted to I said, if I don't get to Makerere straight away, I should be in an institution that is not very far, because it was not easy to move from Mbarara to Kampala and the like. So that's why I put in Nkozi NTC for colleges. Strategically, I knew Nkozi would be not very far from the university. No.
Oh, from the university.
From the university. That's why I wanted to go. So that every time I would get a chance to come to Kampala, I look at the university and say, this is where I failed to go. This is where I should be going.
This is so amazing.
So, fortunately, I came to Nkozi. I spent very good 2 years. I was still a hardliner. I was, of course, a minister. I led about two strikes. those things were still, blood was still flowing. Not, they were not strikes, okay, like demonstrations,
Okay.
but they were strikes, although they were not violent. So
where were you getting fees to pay in
now
tuition?
the moment I joined at the time, the moment you finished senior 6, government took over.
Oh.
Government took over, then you do not need to get worried about where school fees come.
Okay.
You just used to get your luggage and come and enter. Actually, when it came to the third term, they were even giving us money to go and do teaching practice.
Eh.
And the money they would give you was a lot of money, because I remember the first money I got for teaching practice, I even bought a cassette. It was a Silver Star. I had become a modern man, my friend.
So a modern man out of the money they've given you for school practice.
Because of course where did I do the teaching practice? The teaching practice was in Zimbabwe. When we reached, the children would bring things from food stuff from home. You know, in the rural area, they handle teachers very well, not like the towns, and we didn't want to be in towns. That's why we offered to go to the rural area. Of course, I teamed up with colleagues from also backgrounds not very different from mine. So we had a very big saving. I remember I bought a cassette, even the balance. When I took it home, I extended the land which we were on. I think I acquired about 7 acres, in addition to a quarter an acre, half an acre we had. So, but my idea was to have that independence. And my father had big land, about 500 acres. So I was still in that, like, I have to do better than my father. One time I must prove that I'm better than him.
So the authority was still pushing you.
So they were still pushing me. So I did my 2 years. It was good time. As a minister, then, I was an influencer of campaigns. But basically, I have had one problem. Even if you go to my primary school, my name is still there. Even if you go to the secondary school, people still remember my name. I am not the person who has always kept quiet. I am a noise maker wherever I have been. I think the only place where I didn't make much noise was Makerere. Because by the time I came to Makerere, because after the diploma, I had an uncle here in Kampala. I requested for a boys' quarter, he gave me. Then I told him, because they had posted me to go back to Mbarara in some secondary school. But then I said,
So meaning after studying, the government was also giving you a job?
Yeah, they would give you a school. They would post you straight away as a diploma holder. I remember my first salary was 5,000 shillings.
5,000?
As a diploma holder. Yeah, government money. But I told my uncle, I said I can't go. Why I can't go? Because I need to be near Makerere. If I go far from Makerere, I am just going into drinking and marrying. Those things will distract me. I want to go to
Yet you want to look at Makerere.
I wanted to keep looking at Makerere. And fortunately, I was staying at All Saints. There were flats there. Now the All Saints Church took them over. But by then they were called Lugard flats. So I centered there. Then I started looking because my second coaching, I did it at Kampala High School. Then that's when I started doing around. I entered 1 or 2 seminars. Then I started getting schools.
Where to teach?
That's why I was teaching. The old mayor was my student in Kampala High. Yes, Semujunganda was also, when Semujunganda was my student, but with him was in Mengo, so that those ones used to come for coaching and seminars. So you can say I've been around town. And then Mutavazi, the chairman of Ruengo, former, that one I taught him in comprehensive. After Owino, there was a school called Comprehensive High. So by the time, because I finished my diploma in 91, by the mid-1992, I was teaching in 6 schools. Yeah, that's
how were you balancing all?
You see, when you have the urge to make a difference, you will always have time. And I was shouting 9 hours averagely per day. But every time I would sit, I would say, am I going to be a poor teacher? Because teachers, everywhere I passed, they were crying of poverty. I said, is it a curse that when you're a teacher, you must be poor? Or the problem is that we get lazy as teachers. become complacent. You have a school, you are head of a department, you are a director of studies. Now, unfortunately, in school, in the schools I was teaching, because I taught in Gawa, I taught in Ahmadiyya, intensive, comprehensive. I used to go for, we used to call it moonlighting in St. Barikotembe, Mitara Maria, Katikamu, SDA. So I even opened up a coaching center. I used to call it the Garage Academy, just up here. So
Garage Academy. Why Garage Academy?
And because I was coaching students in a garage. So we called it Garage Academy. It wasn't registered, of course. So, but the whole idea was, how do I make a difference? I didn't want to become a boring teacher, and I didn't want to be a complaining teacher that I'm poor. So, whereas the beginning salary was 5,000, I think I started getting something like 0.5 from this correction. And that was, I think, a little bit much better than other teachers. You know, I used to get amused. You come to the sitting room, find teachers talking nonsense. I look at them, I walk away. Because time, where does one get time to waste? So it was very difficult for me that you are crying of poverty and you are seated the whole day talking about poverty. I couldn't understand. Now, and I had put in the spirit to my students that when you see me in the compound, use me, because after teaching, I get a run out of the gate because I'm walking to the next school.
They're already waiting for you.
And me, I had no problem. If I was teaching senior 5, senior 6, history, CRI, and sometimes general paper and geography. But when I would go to senior 5, I would tell senior 6s, if you want to revise, you come. If I go to senior 6 and say, if you think you can pick the language the other side, you come. So I didn't have any restrictions. So my classes were always full. Got stars from the teachers are saying, these children, they don't want to study. I said, but where is the problem? Me, when I'm in class, children, everybody wants to study.
The classes are full.
You are complaining they are not there. I think we are not on the same page. Then sometimes they would think I was a very dangerous teacher, misguiding students. So I taught. Fortunately, Makerere started a scheme of admitting diploma holders. But I had done senior 6 still. I did senior 6. I had done mature when I was still waiting.
At that point, we are taking a short commercial break. When we come back, you will tell us why you had to reduce senior 6. It's a pleasure that you're still watching Transformed Lives program. And we are delighted that we have today's guest. Mr. Frank Baine is an amazing guest, and his story is just amazing. So a young person out there of our generation, if we need transformation, this is a story to listen to, and I believe your life will not be the same. Mr. Baine, before the break, you had told us that Makerere University had now brought in a diploma entry scheme, but you had redone senior 6 and Makua entry. Why did you have to reduce senior 6 in the first place?
Of course, my strategy of wanting to remain in Kampala, not going to take on the job of a teacher in Mbarara, was because I wanted to go to Makerere. We used to call it the Ivory Tower. I did not mind how many times I tried, but my strategy was to enter the Ivory Tower.
At all costs.
At all costs. And I was not alone. I had my friends. I had my friend Kakama. There was another one called Liksembo. So we were a team. And another gentleman called Bigo Misho, actually Bigo Misho, who I even work together, is here. He's a commissioner in charge of rehabilitation and reintegration. Now, and with him we had also done Kakova NTC. So the drive was there that yes, we are teachers, but we need degrees. Because we thought we would become better teachers when we got the degrees. And that's how we are doing those. That we are using all the available means to go to the university. And by then, it was one university, so you had to struggle. Any scheme that was put, we had to utilize it. Because I remember I did interviews for adult education, I did the aptitude for mature entrance, then senior 6. Fortunately, before even the results came, that's when they brought this scheme of diploma entry. And at the time, of course, they were taking everybody who had a second class upper. First and second class, you would qualify. Then I applied. Fortunately, by the time these other ones, of course, adult education, I didn't wish it. When it came, it was right. I didn't.
Why?
Aptitude, of course, in my thinking now, I started saying I have to do something different from education. If I am going to diversify opportunities, I don't have to stick in education. After all, whichever degree you get, you become a graduate teacher because of the diploma. So there was no need for us to stick in one line. They said adult education, that one I let it pass. Then mature, of course, mature I failed the aptitude by about 5-6 marks. So by the time the senior 6 results came, they were not giving me a course which I wanted. So me, I opted to go in the diploma.
Again?
Not on the diploma line.
Oh, diploma interest came.
So that's how they admitted me to Makerere.
So which course now?
But it was still Bachelor of Arts, Social Sciences, Sociology, Geography, and Philosophy. So, and even after first year, they wanted me to do a 3-1-1. At the time, if you do well, they would, instead of continuing to do 2 subjects, they would say you do 1. That's what they just call it the 3-1-1 system. But first year you do 3 subjects. Second year you do either 1 or 2. It is either be a 3-1-1 or 3-2 program. Now, but when I was calculating, I said, I like my geography, I like my sociology. Why should I drop them? Since I wanted to keep with the 3, but the policy was not allowing. So I said, okay, let me keep. After all, philosophy, I had enough. I had done philosophy at the diploma level. I had done philosophy now first year. Then I said the reasoning and logic in my head, that one will take me. That's how I kept geography and sociology. And sociology borders with philosophy. So I was braining well. I opted to do a 3-2-2, not a 3-1-1. Because I said opportunities may come in either way. If they come in geography, I go. If they come in sociology, I go. So those sometimes our biggest problem, we study without a purpose.
Yes.
At any one time, you should have a purpose for the things you do. And that's why whatever step I made in my pressure of suffering was to have a purpose. How do I get where I want tomorrow? So which road do I take? The shortcut, the wrong route? Which direction? When I reach in the middle and get stuck, do I stop there? Or I look for a panya that connects me to the other side? So that's how I ended up in Makerere. So by the time I went to Makerere, I was still teaching in 5 schools, having a coaching center. I said, okay, first year, the Garage Academy. So first year, I opted to be a non-resident. Why? Because they were giving a non-resident money. The non-residents money, I needed to get that money. Yet I had been allowed to stay in Livingston, but I said, let me first stay out and eat money for 1 year. So after 1 year at home, in second year I said, now I can go to the university and sleep, because I also want to feel the university. Okay. But still, even when I was in the university, for us we had about 5 lectures in a week. So unfortunately, even when I was at the university, I would leave like at 6 a.m. I come back past 7, because I would be running around the schools. One of the most difficult part, by the way, of teaching in many schools was not going to teach. It was marking exams. Because all the schools would be closing at the same time, and you're supposed to mark. You'll find that you have 2,000 scripts from the 5 schools. And you are doing each script, each student has done 4 questions. And I didn't want to jump any question, because I would know that would mean sitting on somebody's future. So, and I didn't want to hire mercenary for that, because I would want to have a touch to know what to tell my student who I'm teaching. But by the time you finish marking, you are so dehydrated because you would go translate. You just say, I am allocating a subject, history, for 2 days for all the schools. CRE, 1 day for all schools. Geography, like that. And you would go through. So people would want to say, how do you do this? I said, human potential is so high, but we normally limit it so much because we think we can't do it because we think that's too much. But when you have that background of running around to establish your life, then you have to do certain things, ordinary things, extraordinary, in order to break up. So from there, I went to the university. Of course, university now was a relaxation. To me, the university was a relaxation. When you tell me that in a week I have 5 lectures, it was just something. And I remember I had a background of a diploma, so most of these things I knew. You are just recycling them. And when you have become a teacher, you have the methodology of extracting information. So me, because I had my money, I would go to the library, the course, all the course books. I give the custodian money, he gives me my books, I put them in my room, because I was in a single room. So I read that. When they give the assignment, when I'm not there, somebody picks the assignment for me. I had my friends. Then they say the assignment is this. So I just make it. One day, I read and make notes and make the presentation. Then life goes on.
Then how do you drop the teaching and
Now,
opt for
teaching? I did it for 7 years, by the way. I was in the class. Yes. 1991 to 91 to 96. I was in class.
In the 5 schools?
In the 5 schools.
For the 7 years?
Yeah. But, and the difference is that I studied for a degree when I was in class. That's why I would come back and find boys in the quadrangle making noise. This is politics here. This was happening. I look at them, I go in my room. They used to call me mature capitalist. Mature capitalist, what are you buying us?
Why mature capitalist?
Because I had money. When you are teaching in 5 schools, I had the colored TV, I had the eggs for cooking, I had some drinks in the corner. I was an established man. It was like a home. So that's why they were calling me mature capitalist. Because I used to tell them that if you want to discuss with me, let's talk money. Don't tell me these other things. They don't matter to me. I've never been so much of a political-oriented guy. I believe in some small money and my peace. So when we were at the university, now we started. You know, when you go to the university and you are studying other subjects, that's when you start realizing that education has a problem. Now, the problem in education is that you find a person who taught you is still in class teaching. So there was no clear path. You are a teacher, 7 years counting, but you don't have a clear path apart from running from school to school. The only thing, the option was there was to start your own school hustle. So then you don't have resources to begin the school, to buy the land in Kampala. So with my friends, we said no. Now that we have the option to join government in other areas, let's see where we can go. Now, I remember that was in 1995 in July. Adverts came in the newspapers. Now, at the time, the university was generous. When public service would advertise, they would print out for the finalists and send to the different faculties. If you feel you can start applying. That's how. When I looked through, there were many jobs, about 20 of them. Police, immigration, refugee, culture, what. Then I said, here, where can I have competition? And then I started asking my friends, which job? Immigration. Which job? Police. Which job? I said, who is applying for prisons? Who is going to prisons? I said, this is where I have an advantage. Now I applied for prisons. But something had happened when I was a young man. I remember it was 1975. Thieves came and stole our bull. Then when they had slaughtered it, we followed them up. Unfortunately, they forgot to hide the testicles. And because it was a very good bull to me, I knew any future on that. And when I saw the testicles, I told my father, this is our bull. Let them get us the hide and the horns. And indeed it was one. So when they were there, we went to see them. They were in such a filthy conditions. Then I was asking my daddy that yes, these people have done wrong, but must they be kept in this bad environment? Then that's when I said, I think maybe it is time also I join in and see how to help these people. Because a number of things that happen, it's because there is nobody to volunteer to change things. So I said, okay, let me try prisons. I didn't know anybody in prisons. I didn't know what to expect. But of course, then I applied. Then I did the interview. We were 479. They wanted 19. I was number 4 on the admission list. The moment it came, of course, they were giving us conditions of resigning. Then I resigned as a teacher. No, I went for
prison.
The prisons. Of course, the beginning part of the training was hard. One, I was used to this authority in class you are teaching. And, you had all these nicknames. You are Bismarck, you are Professor Yendere. They were calling you Professor Ambiti because of these religion references you are doing. So you were enjoying those nicknames, because you are an authority. One of the things I trained myself, I never carried a notes book in my class. I used to walk in and start talking. Then after talking, I would dictate the notes because I knew the English, I knew the points. I have listed them on the blackboard. Then it was easy for me to put beef on every point and then continue. I used to have a photographic memory that I knew the years. I know even in the Bible, I just would walk in the Bible with the class to teach Old Testament, New Testament, just with the Bible, and that's all I needed. But outside the school, then I would be busy reading what I'm going to teach, so that I'm not caught off guard. And then people thought I was a genius. A number of my students became teachers because of the way I used to present as a teacher, the confidence, the interest, the passion I had. Everybody, actually, when I left teaching, everybody was like, "Why did you make that mistake? You were meant to be a teacher. You can't go away from teaching because everything about you is teaching." I said, well, let me try this way. And to tell you the truth, I had given my 7 years to education. When I was joining prisons, I said I want to work for 5 years. If things don't work out, I should look for elsewhere to go because there must be many opportunities. But I will find them in prisons. I didn't know that being an askari is a disease. It doesn't go away. So the training became hard. These runnings, these turnings. At first I said, but these people are just joking. Tell me what I want to want. My friend, by the time they are done with you, you were a different person. And I was happy that now I had now changed. That's when I started seeing that civilian life was a very difficult life to live. Even I started wondering how I had maneuvered to survive as a civilian. Informed life is very easy. You follow orders, you have the discipline, everything falls into place. So from there, then they posted me to Chigo. I worked there 4 years. I started down, I was a cadet, third in command, became second in command. Then from nowhere, they transferred me to Karamoja as officer in charge Kotido. That was one of the most difficult moments for me in the prisons. First of all, as a teacher, everybody was like, nobody can go to Karamoja. I remember Vitamazere by then was a commissioner, high commissioner for education. He came when I was doing my education commission, teachers' conditions of service. Then he was interviewing us personally, said, if I sent you to Karamoja, can you go? I said, well, as a teacher, I'm supposed to work everywhere. But if I go there, then I would never go back home because the money you give me is not enough. So I would rather go and look after cows and bananas at home. Now, I didn't know I was cursing myself. I am in prisons, just 4 years beginning to settle in Karamoja.
From Chigo to Karamoja.
But then, when you are already an askari, you are hardened that you can do anything. Now, but those who sent me to Karamoja didn't know I had the other background of charcoal burning and grazing and like. They didn't know I was that. They were only looking at the fat Baine. They think this one here might even run away because they even subjected me to some counseling. I was looking at them with them. I don't say this one's going to know. So I went to Karamoja. I worked there 3 years. I had a very successful tenure of work, of office there as officer in charge. Went there. He said, instead of regulating, he said, let me transform these people. Started introducing projects like bricks making. So I made the station very lively. Everybody who came said, what's wrong? You mean these Karamojos can do these things? And with them, the good thing is the moment they like you, then you are able to do anything with them. At the moment they hate you, even if you do what they want to do anything. So I had to befriend them. They became my friends. They even gave me a name, Oparapusa, I remember. So by the time I was leaving Karamoja, I was voted the best officer in charge in the entire service. Yet I was in the hard to reach area. So from there, then they took me to the prison farm in Soga called Kufuru. Now, Chigo was a poultry farm, so I learned farming of the hens and the pigs. That's where I learned that bit of it. Now, because I had a background of the cows and goats. These other ones I didn't know so well. Now, when they pushed me to Furubi, now was to grow maize, rice, potatoes, cassava in big, because I had 1,000 acres of land with 3 tractors. I said, okay, this one I think can engage me better than Karamoja. And I dug the whole area. I even went into the swamp, affecting the environment. People came and said, you stop here. Then we started negotiating, where do you stop, where don't you stop? And I had a good time there, 4 years. Now, yeah, I did it because the Commissioner General was my first supervisor in Chigo. And even in Chigo there I used to be the MC. Incidentally, in my life, nobody has ever invited me to become a best man. They always called me to become MCs for local parties, like that. So, Kumbe with him, he was busy studying me. So, but somehow, there's a time we were talking, he said, but Baine, if I think I went to an office of responsibility, you'll become the spokesperson. He said, but I didn't study journalism. How will I manage these things? He said, don't worry, let's see what happens. Now, from nowhere, the man becomes a deputy commissioner general, and me, I'm in where? I'm in Bufuru. He said, I want to see how you are doing. He comes, inspects, he said, this beginning is okay, but this is not your office. He said, now I'm in a farm, why do you tell me this is not my office? He said, you know where you belong? I said, yes, sir. By then, of course, I was already baptized. Say, yes, sir. Worked. Said, but you work, don't worry. You work, time will come. So in my 4th year ending, said, I want to come. Said, you come. By 7, he was in my station. He moved around. Said, you know what? What you have done is satisfying. He even went to address the prisoner. Said, I think this man here, he has done his part. They were, hey, we want him. What? He said, actually, me, I'm satisfied that I don't want him to remain. So let him pack his bags. He said, this man here, why is he threatening me? Then even when he was addressing staff, he told them the same story. Then he said, next week, come to office and we talk. He said, okay, sir. I come, he said, you see, you are looking here. Me, I'm looking very far. Now you have to leave that place. By the time you see people fighting that you are fighting for space where to dig, that means this place has become too small for you. But I'm not sending in a bigger farm. You come to headquarters and we fight because we have to change the image of the service. And at the time we were really doing badly. I said, well, if you wish so. So as he was leaving, he said, pack your bags, wait for my instructions. I think it was 4th Jan. We call them service orders. Transfer list comes. Somebody tells you, you're going to headquarters, public relations office. But by then, those who are there, I think they were also trying their best, but things were not coming up. That's why in terms of human rights, in terms of image, we are really doing badly.
Yes.
So I come, they say, this is the office. It is very difficult when they tell you are going to the bad place. That place is where everybody is feared, and those where you're supposed to go. So I came, but he's a good mentor. He said, I don't worry making mistakes. We all make mistakes. I know you're going to make mistakes, but we shall correct them. Fortunately, I had always admired Bandarza and Felix Courage of UPDF. But at the time, of course, Bandarza had left, but Courage was in office. And he advised me and said, you know what, you get in touch with Courage. Some of these tips you'll get them. Now, from the office, I remember I walked. That book of mine, a friend took it, and I'm still looking for another copy. I can't get it. I went to our stock, just out of the blue, not knowing what to do. I didn't know how to make a press release. I didn't know how to write a letter. I didn't know how to address the press. I didn't know. I didn't have anything called a communication strategy. I didn't have anything. But me, I had come for deployment to do PR for prisons. And everybody's like, those who have been there before you have literally not done anything. So you come and fail, so that you are part of the pack of those who can fail. Said, okay. So I went to Aristoc. That book is called Contemporary Public Relations. I remember it had 578 pages. The first 1 week, I would leave my office at midnight. But I read that book from cover to cover. By the time I finished that book, I was good to go. I started making, I had the communication strategy, starting to follow the templates. I knew what public relations meant. I knew what advertising meant. I knew what marketing meant. So I put myself in position in what I'm going to do. The type of PR I need to do. Then how to exploit certain talents. And my talent was public speaking. So I said, oh, so this is my pin. I started dribbling. Before I knew it, I was already an MC on national functions. Before I knew it, now I started now with the media. I had an issue with Uganda, but because I had taught in Zimbabwe, I had some Uganda, Gambo words. I started now doing the show in Uganda, slowly by slowly. In about 2-3 years, I had made enough mistakes and I stabilized it. Now, unfortunately, after 2 years, Courage left. Pade came. So when Pade came, he was more of a runner than me. Now he was also running from me. Then Pade left again, Courage came. Of course, I had Tabayungwa, then Kasinje, then Nawakoba, then there was another one called Putesa, and then Nanga. So like that. So I want to tell you that now, for 14 years, I've been in this office of communication. And I think I'm the longest government communicator as we talk. And what else did I do? The moment I occupied this office, I said the best way to do is to go back to school. I requested my boss. I went to hear my postgraduate diploma in public administration. The moment I finished that, I said I must do a master's. I went for master's in management science. So I was trying to build capacity. And because of that, I've been promoted 4 times, I think, still in the same, running the same thing. I was lieutenant, senior lieutenant, start commission, now commission. And widening the reading, I started attending conferences, I started attending short courses. Now I'm a full-fledged communicator. I've even supervised at least about 4 students of masters in communication. They are undergraduates, I can't count them. So that is where I am. Maybe one thing I didn't tell you is that I delayed to marry because of my lifestyle, because I hadn't talked about my family.
Yes.
Why I delayed to marry? Because I wanted first to go to the university. When I was leaving university, that's when I was going to prisons. So I said, I can't mix the two. Let me first go for training. So I did not marry until 2000, when I had finished the training. And even after training, because finished 98, then I had my 2 years in the field. Got married, I have 3 beautiful children.
Where did you find your wife?
My wife is another story. I don't think we have much time.
We can use the 3 minutes to summarize that other story.
That other story, my wife is a friend, was a sister to my closest friend. And when we had gone to some party with my friend in HSC, we met my my father-in-law, and who liked me and said, I have many girls, you pick one. But I thought it was a joke. 15 years later, I don't know how it came, but we hooked up, dated for about 4 years, and got married.
Wow.
Then on my wedding day, I told my father-in-law that, remember 15 years back, you offered me a daughter. Now I have taken. If you forgot me, I didn't forget. So now, one of the things I've done is you cannot claim to be a communicator and you don't participate. That's how I came to write this book. And this book is pure about my life. That's why I called it the river of my life. If you know how the river moves, I am a very good geographer. How the river moves in those stages, the youth, the old, the senile. But one thing the river never forgets is its destination. And me, at this level of cognition of prisons, I think I've reached my destination. And I don't have to complain. And the other authority, I still got it. Remember the authority I was chasing, I still have it. When I looked for it in education, I didn't get enough. Now I've got it as an ascot. So it's inherent, and public speaking. So one of the things I tell people, we need to look at what will benefit us. It is either the skill, it is either the knowledge, or the talent. So when we are growing even children, we should help our children to discover themselves. Because I keep telling people, if you have a first class and you are walking on the street, then you don't know why you have a first class degree. Because that first class should give you the intuition to think of what can I do. And more especially, we want grown trees to eat mangoes, but we never want to plant mango seedlings. That's the challenge. If we are to recover as a country, even as a continent, we must not believe in mango trees. We must believe in mango seedlings.
So, as we wind up, it's a new year, and what advice would you give, basically, the young people? Because during the elections of 2021, you were so much in media, and you were so much concerned about how the young people spend their time.
Yeah. Even up to now, like I am saying and continuing to say, we want to enjoy more than to work. To me, I find it challenging that I have been working for money for the whole year, and I blow it just because of 1 week. So, please, you can use the 80% rule, that if you have money, spend 20%, but keep 80%. Then 2, avoid to do things which will bring you my side. When you cross the line, I can assure you, there are many things that will change in your life. So keep there, keep ordering. There is no reason to get excited. There are many Christmases that will come. Although, of course, as a person, God knows how many you will enjoy.
Yes.
So let's enjoy in a more harmonious manner. Let's not show how we are strong. No, let's be happy. Let's be cooperative. But the bottom line is, if your young age does not work for your old age, you be prepared to do things. There is a book I read of doing things at 40 I should have done at 20. And that is a disaster. When you are young is when you make money to look after you in old age. If not, then you will start working at old age to look after you. Yet at old age, it should be your money to look after you. If you have invested it in the children will look after you. But if you didn't educate the children, even in your old age, they will be coming to beg from you. So, to me, there are 3 things that we can do. Work, work, and work.
No other option.
There is no shortcut. I normally teach my staff the 4 rules of money. Money is earned, money is accumulated, money must be hidden through saving. But money becomes useful when it is multiplied. That is what you call investing. If you do those, even if you start with 1 shilling, you will end up where you want. And I can even share this small money model. The money model is ideas. First, have the idea of what you want to do. Do some activities that should lead you to get the money that you want, which is I am. Idea, activity, and money.
Idea, activity, money. Thank you so much, Mr. Frank Baine. It has been, this is a program on its own. It's exceptional. I just didn't want us to end, but We have to. We have no option. Our time is out, but thank you so much for watching Transform Lives program. Edwin Austin Mukalazi is my name. We're with Mr. Frank Baine, the communications person for the Uganda Prison Service, but also the Commissioner of Prisons in charge of corporate affairs. We meet again next time. Happy New Year and God bless you so much.